Hello and welcome to my podcast, Super Nintendo Unscripted. This is on the Super Nintendo Freemium channel. So if it is your first time here, make sure that if you like this type of content, subscribe, because this is a weekly podcast. It's just a place for me to talk about whatever the heck I want to. And, you know, if you have a topic that you want me to talk about, feel free to leave it in the comments below. But we're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of March. And we are at 85, so we only have 15 more to go. So consider subscribing. I do this on a weekly basis. So, it's a way for me to get out weekly, consistent content, just to free my mind and, keep moving on the main channel's videos so that I can, create those a little bit better without being too distracted. So what's in this specific podcast, you ask? Well, I'm talking about the progress on the Super Nintendo Wii U video. I got a game pickups for the week. Also, do people gatekeep Metroid? And is there something funny going on with the Olympics? Stay tuned for that one. I think that'll be an interesting topic. Something that you'll see it when I see it, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So, getting started here, the game pickups of the week. I really didn't get too much stuff this time around. What I did get though is my Gameboy Camera Plus. This thing is pretty cool. It basically what it is it's somebody made 3D printed hardware to take a Game Boy camera. You remember the Game Boy Camera, and get it so that way you can mount an actual lens onto the sensor. So it's pretty cool. It's not going to take groundbreaking pictures, but it is still something if you're like a hobbyist and you like taking pictures with goofy cameras, like specifically like street photography. This is a pretty cool little device that the Game Boy, it's not going to make these photos look like super realistic, but they definitely do give the Game Boy camera a little bit more to work with. The only thing that I had issues with is, so if you've ever used the Game Boy camera, it takes a while. It takes maybe a full second and a half to refresh what it sees on the screen. So normal cameras nowadays, with digital cameras, what you see is exactly what's happening in the viewfinder. However, with this, it's there's a slight refresh. So the thing about this camera that is different from the original Game Boy camera is that the focus isn't set at infinity. So this particular lens has a near and far thing. It's basically, I think it's made for a security camera thing that you would make for your Raspberry Pi. A lot of people, they can make cameras with Raspberry Pis, and they make web security cameras instead of using Ring or something like that. But so basically this thing was really simple to put together. It's a non-destructive way to convert your Game Boy camera into something like this. So if I ever really wanted to go back and restore the Game Boy camera that I had, you can go ahead and do that. Which I actually might buy a second camera just so that way I can do maybe a video on this to compare the specific the difference between the Game Boy camera and this, just to see if there's a significant difference, because as far as I could tell, there's a lot more detail in the images, but specifically I don't know if the convenience factor weighs out versus the actual sharpness of it. So these camera lenses, they're all manual. Obviously, the Game Boy Color doesn't have any software to make autofocus or anything like that. So this thing has a zoom. It's like a 2.8 to 12 millimeter lens. I might get it a little bit more, see if I can get like a 35 millimeter. I don't know if that's a possibility, but you can control the aperture and the focus. And the weird thing about at first I thought the thing was broken because like I couldn't really see anything, and then finally like I got it to go, because the problem is that you have to wait about like a second and a half to get everything all set up. So once I got that, it's like a manage of like slowly turning the dial to adjust the focus until you get something that's on the screen that's actually in focus. And at first it starts out as like a green and yellow blob, and then it kind of just like focuses in on what you can do. So obviously you can't really take pictures of action sequences like pets or anything that really moves pretty quickly. But it's still a cool little device. I am actually planning on making a video on this channel detailing my camera collection. So that's something that I've been interested in, is like quirky photography things to take photos with. So this will do nice. It's definitely an acquired taste. Like you really have to be someone who enjoys the quirk factor that comes with the Game Boy Camera, which is if you really appreciate that specific aesthetic and medium, then this is for you. But like if you're looking to just like turn the Game Boy Camera into something that's like a little bit beefier, that's not what this does. Like this is pretty neat because it's like you could get a longer throw and take more pictures that are more creative than what the original Game Boy allows. So just think of it that way. And of course, like this is kind of expensive. It's all like 3D printed parts, but like the 3D printed, I sprung for the nice stuff. So the camera base itself was almost $100, and then the lens itself was another $50, and then I had to get like a little filter. So it wasn't cheap. Like I don't know if I would actually, like, unless you're like a camera enthusiast, I don't think I would recommend it. Because if you're just looking to just fart around with the Game Boy camera, like the regular camera is just as good. So that's really the only pickup that I had. And, I think I might do a review on it once I get another camera. And like the Game Boy cameras are kind of pricey now. Like they're like $35. Maybe because like everybody's now trying to be a street photographer and stuff like that. That's kind of like the new thing, is like old digital cameras have been like skyrocketing recently. Like you think video games are bad, like try like buying a relatively like cheap camera from the early 2000s that's actually working. Like you're gonna be spending over $200 on it. Like it's kind of ridiculous, but I mean, it's vintage. Video games, same thing. That's something that's kind of been on everybody's mind specifically. So just if you are interested, check out Macho Nacho's thing. That's where I got everything from. You should just check out that video, because like the video is really helpful because it gives you a step-by-step guide. And Macho Nacho is like a person that I've been trying to like match in terms of production value for a bit. So I definitely consider him a person to be inspired by. Definitely check out his channel if you haven't already. Okay, so moving right along here, we're gonna talk a little bit about my upcoming video. So I have, the script is written, it's been shot. I just have to film some B-roll and start putting it together. It's coming in at about like 13 minutes long, and I think my GameCube video was like 20. I believe. So it's definitely going to be a lot shorter, but like I mentioned last time, like the Wii U compared to the GameCube is just not a yeah, my GameCube video is 18 minutes. So this is 5 minutes less than thing, but compared to the GameCube, the Wii U is just like one of the easiest systems that I would say is to put together a guide, because there's really no third party like AV solutions and like all this other things, and like I like I don't know, like I almost thought that I was missing something because of how short the video was. But I think I have everything together, and like also if I need something to go back into and re-record, I can always do that and add something. I think already, like I was looking through specifically for the adapter, because I had to order a new adapter, and there are third-party solutions, but like there's I don't mention that in the video just yet, so I'll make sure to like add that in. But other than that, like the B-roll is coming across nicely. I finally like I mentioned on Twitter. So this camera is an A7S3, and it's a pretty good camera for like it's almost overkill for like what I use it for, and so that's why I've been trying to like really just learn how to use it, so that way I'm not like just getting an expensive camera just because I really want I do take the time to like actually like learn how to do it, and that's like been the motivation of making this YouTube channel, also not necessarily just to make retro video game content, but also to like improve my skills as somebody who wants to take video and also take photos. So I changed it, and it's the color science it's S-Cinetone, and so S-Cinetone is like Sony's like premier color grade, and it's something that like people have been like really wanting to get into for a while, and it used to be only on like their high end cameras, and like this is still technically a high end camera, but like for it to be on a camera that doesn't cost like $7,000 just for the body was a pretty big deal, and it's something that I didn't really understand until recently, and so I think it looks pretty good. I don't know. It definitely will change the way that my my lighting situation with filming for B-roll, because if you put it on just like regular light, I can kind of change it right now. So if like you change it to like this type of video, it looks like, well, this is like a bit like cooler and stuff, but like it's kind of unnerving, I guess, like I would say, like like this is like a little bit warmer light, but I used this thing, it's called Tokyo. It gets a little bit of purple and everything like that, but it looks a lot sharper. But when I was like shooting B-roll of some games, like it looked a little bit too real, like I guess, like I don't know, like maybe I'll get used to it. I'll put it out on this video, but this Wii U video is kind of like a test to see if like people are just like searching just for the GameCube, or if they are actually sticking around for my buyer's guides, because the next iteration will be the Dreamcast, and so I'm not 100% sure if I want to do a Dreamcast guide or a video about the Dreamcast. So that's something that we'll figure out, but I'll still be doing Retronomics stuff. It's just that, like I said before, I really like doing the Retronomics stuff, but sometimes it gets so repetitive and it doesn't grow my channel the way that I want it to. And so like in order, like the videos like have like this cap, like for some reason it's like after like a week and a half, like the views just like drop off, and it just kind of just stagnates. Like the recent video on the GameCube, it like it does decent. Like the retention is there, the click-through rate, everything is all there, except like the views kind of just like taper off. Like it just kind of plateaus. Whereas like my GameCube buyer's guide, it kind of like the video views, they keep on going like steadily up, like going through it. They don't like kind of crest. So it's really interesting to see like specifically how people react, and like how YouTube recommends my content, especially like when it comes to certain videos like that. And that's one of the main reasons why I've attempted to make evergreen content in the first place, is because like I said, the Retronomics videos, they only have like a short shelf life, and like and it's so goofy because it's like YouTube, the way that they recommend stuff, like they recommend like the oldest GameCube video, they never recommend like the real one. So it's like there's a GameCube video that's getting like 10,000 views, and it's getting a ton of thing, but it like YouTube isn't recommending the most recent one. So, and it was really funny because like I pinned the new one on the GameCube one that was getting the views, and then like all of a sudden that video just like tanked in performance. Like it just went boop, so it's like YouTube is always a mystery. Explain that one, YouTube gurus, because like that's always been like my problem, and something that like I see on my analytics, that people are tuning in for like certain like these guides kind of. So why not like lean into it? Like I did a view on one on the PVMs, and I try to do like a high level thing, and that's something, a topic that I'll get into in my next topic here. But high level content that about these kind of things exists, but not in like a modern format. Like I'm pretty sure that you could find like a written guide on like everything that you need to do about the Wii U, but to have it in like a format where the links are there, where people can use it as like a jumping off point, that's something that when I was searching for stuff, like especially that PVM video, that was something that it was so difficult to find like what you actually needed for a PVM, and it was like scattered all over the place. And I decided to just kind of just like put it in there for a very simple video. Like if this is your first time with a PVM, this is kind of what you need to get started, and then if you want, then you can go further and stuff. It's that's something that I've like noticed, especially when you get into like the higher the lower level stuff about information when it comes to retro video games and enthusiasts. Like there is like a certain threshold of information that you need in order for you to understand the rest of the stuff. Just like it'll come into my next topic here, and it's specifically about this Metroid thing. And so on Twitter, there was this guy from Did You Know Gaming, and his name Liam Robertson. And so what he did was that yesterday, Metroid Fusion came out on the Nintendo Switch Online. Everyone like is excited because a lot of the I think almost all of the Metroids, like the majority of the Metroid games are now on the Nintendo Switch. Like I think you're missing Prime 2 and 3, and the first Metroid's there, Super Metroid's there. You have Metroid Fusion now, and Metroid Zero Mission was a remake of Metroid. So that's not on there just yet, but it's coming. And then you got Metroid Dread and Samus, Return of Samus for the Game Boy is also on there. So you pretty much have like every single Metroid game on there. And so this guy, he's, from Did You Know Gaming, and they're kind of like a meme at this point because like everybody knows this information, but like more and more people are coming into the space and, learning about this. So when they do like this kind of stuff, it's like, if you're very experienced, you're kind of like, yeah, I already know that. So yeah, they posted specifically this video about Metroid Prime or Metroid Fusion. And there's like this specific level where you jump in and you get into this like little area and you're stuck between two walls here. And what you need to do is you need to bomb a certain area to raise like a platform in order for you to just jump out and get onto there. So they posted it and it was like, for those playing Metroid Fusion for the first time, RT to save a life. Pretty, and it's got a clip of the specific point in thing. But the problem is that everybody, like, there's a ton of people who are like, they're like, oh, everybody knows this, like this, like people are just so stupid when like, why are you even posting this? Like, everybody knows this, dude. Like, it's called the bombing strategy. You bomb everything in Metroid. Everybody knows this. Why are you even posting it? And it's like, I guess, like, I mean, like, first of all, like, it's kind of like a weird thing to just like attack somebody for, because at the end of the day, it's like an innocuous like thing. Like, it's literally just like a specific point in the game. I think it's fairly early. I think this is Sector 2 that this is in. But this is a notoriously cryptic area. It's been referenced in a lot of people's gripes about Metroid in general. I think Donkey made one in Metroid Samus Returns. Like, he referenced this particular thing. It's like, there's no specific block. There's no indication that would suggest that. Like, that is Metroid. Like, Metroid has like this cryptic stuff. And so it just like, it was really weird that the reaction that, this particular tweet got, because like at the end of the day, like if you're an expert on Metroid and stuff, like this should come second nature to you, but like it doesn't come second nature to a lot of people. Like, I played Metroid Dread and I didn't know about like bombing everything as a strategy until like most recently, because honestly, like Metroid Prime and Super Metroid and like all those other ones, like those cryptic things, like where you have to bomb everything, are usually just they're for secret bombs or something. Like if you want to get a missile upgrade or something like that, not to progress in the game, is like this cryptic thing. So I think it's just like a weird, like, I just think it's really embarrassing as a gaming community to get upset about this, and to also kind of like shout down anybody who might not know what this is, because like if you Google Metroid Prime or Metroid, I don't understand why I keep saying Metroid Prime, but Metroid Fusion Stuck. Like if you Google Metroid Fusion Stuck, like there are forum posts from when the game was new about this particular puzzle. Like there's like another one in Sector 4, I think, that's like an underwater level or something like that. I haven't played the game, so don't come after me in the comments, or do, just increase the engagement. I don't care. But like it's a common frustrating thing. So for people to say like, duh, like you should know this, like really is it's incredibly condescending, and it is an example of like the retro gatekeeping scene, when people take a game that maybe some people have only experienced the first time and express frustration with it, and then like you get like all these like get good comments and stuff, and it's like, I don't know what you think that accomplishes when you're complaining about people like struggling with games. Like I I struggle with these games. I get frustrated with Metroid more often than not. It's not a very easy game for me. I got to the final boss of Metroid Dread. I got frustrated, and I haven't picked it up since. Same thing with Samus Returns. I got to the one boss where you have to like climb up the walls, and they do all this stuff, and like the controls are so like my hands are so cramped that like I get all sweaty and stuff, and I slip on the buttons, and it's so frustrating. Like, I'm not asking for games to be easy, but Metroid has like this special like this special knack for being obtuse on purpose, and people wonder why the Metroid franchise isn't a gigantic franchise that people think it should be. Like, this is the reason why. It's like the games are notoriously like cryptic on purpose, to the point where they had to add for Metroid Dread, like they added a scanner so that you could see through the walls and stuff, or do like a scanning thing to see if there's something that you need to bomb. Like, it's like, I get that if you like that type of gameplay, but for me, bombing every single square on the map is so tedious, and it breaks the gameplay for me. I don't mind difficulty. Like, if something's like a puzzle and stuff, and like I kind of get stuck or something, and like maybe I'll take a break and I'll come back to it and I'll get it. And that's satisfying for me. But for people to just like get upset about this is kind of just like, I don't know. It's something that like I see a lot in like this higher nerd sphere. Like, you have like a it happens in every hobby. It's not just like video games. But it's like, if you've been gaming for so long, it's so easy to forget that there are still people coming to these series and stuff for the first time ever. Like, do people not recognize that? Like, it's not like you're going back and playing. The only people playing Metroid Fusion are the people who have already played it before. Like, that's not, 100% of the audience and stuff. And that's something that, like, I think a lot of people forget. And, like, that's one of the reasons why with the PVM specifically is that if you just try to get into a PVM for the first time, like, everybody is, like, all miles and miles ahead. Like, they're already talking about like the best PVM that you can buy on the market, that is, the perfect one. It's got the perfect pitch, and like it's, the colors are all, the convergent, all these other things that like you have to research for a while before you can even like understand what that stuff means. And so when you start to ask people about it, they get really frustrated with you. Like, they're like, you don't know about TVL lines? Are you kidding me? Like, of course, like, you need these BNC connectors. Like, hello? Like, it's one of those things. Like, not everybody is like that, but like, I've run into my fair share of people all, like, across all hobbies, specifically, people who expect you to know everything. Like, you have to take a course to even like begin to ask questions. Like, it happens everywhere. Like, I've been trying to increase my After Effects skills, and one thing that I've been doing is After Effects runs on JavaScript, and you can run these scripts and stuff, and I don't have really any programming knowledge outside of a handful of like Python scripts and SQL inquiries and stuff. But I asked like a question specifically because like I had Googled it beforehand, and I was like, I'll ask the forum and stuff to see how they do it. And, these people that come in, they're like, some people are really nice, and they're like, yeah, you need to do it this way, and this way. Here is an example code to get you started. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll just use it. I'm not asking for people to do it for me. But this one guy was like, your code's bad and you should feel bad for even wasting my time. And I was like, you don't have to respond to that. Like, okay, like, why are you, like, you clearly want to flex on somebody for not knowing things. And it's like, it makes people feel better about it and stuff. And, you know, it clearly, like, makes me upset. Because, like, I've run into so many times where, you know, I come across, like, all these cool, like, little gadgets and doodads that will enhance retro video games and stuff. And everybody talks about it like you're entering a conversation that has already been going on for, you know, 15 to 20 minutes, and like you're not quite caught up. So like I've always asked questions and people are like, you don't know what this is? Like, forget it. Like, I'm not even going to explain it to you because you're clearly not ready for this. And I was like, okay, like you know, that's kind of stuff that like puts people off from the hobby in general. Like, all this person did was show a video of the, you know, solving the puzzle. Like, that's all that it was. And, you know, if you knew that already, you could have just ignored it instead of saying like, well, everybody knows this, because not everybody does. You know, like I perfect example was when I went to Vegas and went and, you know, I know how craps works. And like, if you've ever played craps, it's kind of like a complicated game. Once you start getting going, there's a lot of moving parts. And so when you're playing it in real time, like there's a lot of etiquette that goes into it as well. And so I went to this place in Old Vegas because Old Vegas is the way, if you're new to gambling or card games and you want like a slower pace and you don't want to break the bank, you go to Old Vegas because like the buy-in is like $3 to $5 or something like that. Well, I was like, I forgot what I was doing, but like I put my hand down to place a bet or something because like the person who is like throwing the dice is all on the other side, like the handler, the dealer, is all the way on the other side. So it's hard to hear too because it's really loud. And so I put it down and like this one guy just like yelled at me. He's like, "What do you think you're doing?" And I was like, "I've never played before. Like, this is my first time playing. Settle down." And the guy, like, he was like, "Oh yeah, like there are new people to this." Like, cause the guy was like 65 and he probably has been playing, you know, he's, you know, he's probably older than the casino itself. You know, and that's all I'm asking is like, just take a little bit of time to recognize that not everybody knows as much as you guys do. And if you don't want to be a guide to people, then just shut the fuck up. Like, I like that's all you have to do. Like, it's perfectly good. Like, I'm not clowning on people who are good at video games, but like, you come off as such an arrogant asshole when you say stuff that like you've been playing this game forever and everything like that, and people should know that. That's all that it is. Just shut up. Like, and let people play the game. And if they want to do strategy guides or game facts or anything like that, like if we were all experts at video games, like the angry video game nerd and Donkey and like all these other people who like clown on games being, you know, challenging, wouldn't exist, because there would be no difficulty curves and stuff. So, that's pretty much my whole rant on that. Like, cause I don't know, like that's why I make my videos the way that I make them, is because like every time that I research things like with the Mister, you know, and other things, it's like people assume that you have like, that you're the expert, that you're already an expert in this and stuff. And like, they get upset when people don't understand the importance of these projects, but they don't want to take the time to explain to you why you should care. And that's one of the reasons why like these projects fail, is because they become like enthusiast only projects. And like, I think people get off on, you know, being the only ones who can understand it and stuff. They like when things are complicated. They like when things are hard, because they don't have anything better going on in their life or something like that, where they have to be like, well, I knew this on the first try. I don't understand what I was like. Good for you. Like, good for you. Like, again, like, I don't have any jealousy of people who are naturally good at video games, but like, not everybody is good at video games. Not everybody's going to 100% everything, and not everybody is going to pick up and play a game, you know, without some kind of learning curve. And Metroid games are like notoriously cryptic. And while some of them, like, I think Metroid Dread even like got some clowning because like, oh, it blocks, you know, it gates off, like the game does its best, but like some people even complain about that. Like they're like, well, it tells you it holds your hand too much and stuff. It's like, listen, I don't want to get lost in an area where I'm not supposed to be. Like, I would like to, I get exploring and stuff, but if I'm going somewhere where I don't have a weapon or something like that to get me to the place, I shouldn't have to dig all the way through, only to find out and like get killed or do something like that. Like, if that's what you want to do, fine, but like, that's not what the majority of people like. I'm sorry. Moving on to a less contentious topic, the Olympics. So this is pretty interesting. This came up a little bit ago, and basically Olympics are adding esports to their list for 2023, I believe. It's kind of a weird thing too, because it's like they're making like an Olympic esports series. I don't know if they're actually going to add it to the games, but it's like just this kind of weird thing. So it's like archery, baseball, and like they're using like some weird games too. Like they're using chess through chess.com, cycling through Zwift, dance through Just Dance, motorsport, which through Gran Turismo, sailing through Virtual Regatta, tennis through Tennis Clash, and taekwondo. So the thing about taekwondo is that it uses this thing. It's a body tracking system, and the body tracking system is called Axis. And I thought this was pretty interesting because it's a motion control system that I've never heard of. And the Kickstarter, it just kickstarted like a year and a half ago, and it had 301 backers with $195,000 in cash. And it's what it promises to do is pretty interesting, but like it's not a it doesn't give a lot of information specifically on it. It's like it gives you like a whole bunch of things where like they've they've been shared on TechCrunch and Yahoo Finance and like everything. And when you go into like the media specifically, it shows it like that they've been receiving a lot of funding for their project. But I thought it was pretty interesting because it's like the way that they're like promising all of this stuff, like it looks really cool, but like also it's like it's something that like I don't quite understand like why it's being in the Olympics specifically, because they've just now started like to fulfill it to backers too, so it hasn't really been out that much yet. And like a lot of the videos about this thing are just of the specific companies, like PR videos. So like I'm interested in seeing it because like it's supposed to track you like your entire body. For VR, like that would be amazing, right? You strap like a couple of like sensors on your wrists and your legs, and then you can have like full body tracking. It's just, I don't know, like it's kind of weird that it's being in the Olympics and stuff, because it's like just the way that it's trying to promise things, it's like I still have yet to see anybody actually like try it. So, and they're kind of expensive too. Like there's they keep billing it as like a way to like to you improve your content creation. So like if you wanted to be like a VTuber or something like that, you can like put the tracking on and like control your avatar and stuff. Like I don't know, like I really want to try it, honestly. Like that's what I want to do, but like I can't buy it anywhere because it's not something that is, it's only being fulfilled to the backers, and like I still have yet to see like anything on YouTube outside of like what the company is doing in order to do it. Like the company's out of Singapore. But yeah, it's like they have like collaborations with Samsung. They're raising $8.5 million. Specifically for they got a Series A round fund, which is really good. But like still, like I really want to see where it goes, because the Kickstarter has like, for one kit is $550, and it barely got anything on that. Like the super early bird was having like 47 backers out of 50 for that one. So it's just really interesting that we haven't seen any too much of it, and like all of a sudden they're getting promotion through the Olympics. So I thought that was interesting. If anybody has like got one, like let me know how it goes. But like right now, like they haven't really like detailed like what's going on right now, because like they still haven't like completed the fulfillment. At least like from the update on the Kickstarter, it says that as of November 2022, they were moving through the first batch of fulfillment. So, and like the last update was on December 28th of 2022, and it's now towards the end, the middle of March. Because yeah, it says to complete the survey and stuff. So I don't even know. Yeah, it says as of like 23 days ago, it says, seems like quite a few of us have not received our units. It would be nice to get an update. And it says come March, it'll be in a full year. So like, a lot of people have been just like saying that like they're not, they haven't received it yet. So that's always kind of like suspect when a company like promises like this huge of a technology, because like full body tracking is something that like a lot of VR enthusiasts have been wanting for a very long time. And it's something that's like been very expensive to do. Like you can get a haptic suit, and that's like almost $1,000. And like I think, let's see here, haptic suit for VR, because like you can get like a vest for like $530, but like and like a biometric feedback suit is like almost $9,000. So if you really want to get into VR and like really get into VR, like it's something that like the technology is there, but it's like very expensive and it's very bulky. So like for this thing to have like a couple of like little sensors that you put on your body is pretty revolutionary. But like I still haven't seen that people have been getting there. So it is pretty curious, especially with the low Kickstarter goal, like 195,000 for the goal. I know that Kickstarters nowadays, like they don't even like, it's not really necessarily for like startups anymore. It's like usually you're already at an idea for what you want, and you have the product already there. You just need the extra money for manufacturing. It's not necessarily like pay for me to like do research and development and do all this other stuff. Like pretty much the project is already done. You just need the capital. Like it's almost like a new line of credit, and so you open it up as like a pre-order now. But like, there's still, I'm pretty sure that there's been scams still about Kickstarters where they just take the money and run. But like this thing was just pretty interesting because it says like untethered full body motion. So I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe it isn't a load of garbage. I mean, especially if like the Olympics is taking care of it. But like then again, like the Olympics necessarily haven't been a company that has been very honest and like things. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. Like maybe they aren't full of beans, but anyway, that's all that I have for the podcast today. It's gonna be a short one, but let me know what you guys think about Metroid Fusion. Am I a noob for complaining about people yelling that you don't know anything about video games? Let me know. But yeah, if you still are new here and you stuck around, please consider subscribing and follow me on Twitter at snicktendo. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.